The latest, Vlad orders withdrawal from occupied Kherson. Of course, we've been talking about this for the last 2 weeks, and people obviously think there is something up with this. It said that Vlad ordered his troops to withdraw from Kherson, the southern UKR city that was the first major urban and I believe one of the only centers seized in its invasion. It says after Kiev's troops pressed forward with a counteroffensive. They also said that they basically surrounded and stopped them from getting supplies. What was really, really strange is the actual press conference where one of the generals or one of their military officials essentially came out and said that, it's futile to stay there and we're going to save as many lives as possible of our troops. And it just seemed a little bit off. Of course, there has been rumors of them possibly camping out in civilian homes with civilian clothes to do some sort of guerrilla type tactic. We don't know what's going to happen. Of course, they have been taking people out of that city for an entire week. All these different countries have been basically telling people to leave that city. So something is up here, and I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll talk about that and much, much more. All of the current events right now on Marfoogle TV. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a lot to go over in a short amount of time. So remember, if you haven't already, go over to marfooglenews.com and sign up for our notifications directly through us. Again, that is through Chrome. You can get it and notifications exactly when we go live. Now, on top of that, we are one of few that does a full bibliography for all of our sources. If it is an article, tweet, video, picture, document, it will be there on the website. You will see Order in Chaos, and of course, once you click on that, you will have a full bibliography of all of our sources, including every single picture, article, tweet, video, picture, document, picture, video, everything we show you. Again, at the very bottom, there is a yellow bar. That is the web only or overflow. That is basically all of the stuff that could not fit into the show. So make sure to hit that every single day. All of this has been collected for your use. Again, you can go back and check our work. We also let you know exactly where we got this information from. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing tonight?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
And we did have some, we had kind of an electrical surge through a storm, so just my sound might be a little bit off. If you guys can let me know if the sound is okay on both myself and Dex, that would be very helpful. Thank you to the live chat. It looks like already we have about 1,500 that have piled in. Thank you so much. Now, for all of you, including you that watch the replay, make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/friends. We have all of the great people we personally vouch for. These are mods and team members and creators that essentially do a great job of making videos, and they are a great person on and off camera. So make sure to go check them out. Really, a lot of great people. Bones, CJ Blaze, Jammer1, Lisa R. Hall, PNW Affliction, Rip Kroll Readiness, RJL Harris, Survival Game, and Trinity Red or Blue Pill Hi Ho Kermit the Frog here. That is our team. Let's get started. So first of all, TSA agents find Bang Bang smuggled inside of raw chicken. There have been many threats over the last year. In fact, we covered quite a bit of them from different countries saying that, something ominous was going to happen. And all the way back from, I want to say 2018, 2019, whenever T-Man said that, whenever they took out Soleimani, that actually could have been closer to the end of his presidency. But when he did take out Soleimani, he said it was because that country ended up having something that they were planning that made 2001 of September look like chicken feet. Dex, so people are obviously trying to sneak some stuff through TSA. What do you think about this?
Oh, sneak. I mean, who brings a raw chicken on a plane? I mean, come on, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, the other thing is it's something like 700 bang-bangs have been brought to checkpoints, and over 120 at this specific location, which is in southern Florida, near Fort Lauderdale, or at the Fort Lauderdale airport. Yeah, this is kind of it's kind of weird. Obviously, this was intentional. Like, you can understand the "I forgot it was in my gym bag" thing, and you threw your clothes in the gym bag and took off, and you had one tucked in one of the pockets. Totally can get that mistake, but wrapping up bang bang and hiding it in raw chicken, that's kind of that's intent. You're really hiding it there. And again, who travels with raw chicken?
I don't know who does, but I do have kind of an idea of who could have done this. I know they're not. I know that they're not exactly putting a name out right now, but I do think. I think I have an idea who could have done this. I believe there's a picture of him right here. Looks like, yeah, it's grainy, so it's hard to tell who he is, but I think we found the culprit. All right, well, moving on. Of course, we have 8th journalist reported perished forcefully by hands of somebody else in Haiti so far this year. So this has been a sensitive topic. Obviously, there are big names connected to that entire place. In fact, fundraisers and different things that have been raised for that country. That country has gone through absolute hell and back. It's been through earthquakes. It's been through disaster after disaster after disaster. And there's always something raising money for it because the people are absolutely torn down. It seems like almost every year something horrible happens to Haiti. But of course, people have been covering it. Redacted has done a good job of covering different things. Obviously, right now, there is an argument in media of what is really happening. Of course, it's kind of crazy to me that a lot of the stuff that's being said is not being confirmed by the news. But then when you see videos of the actual locals there, they are saying that it is a whole lot different than what is actually happening. As far as getting the story out of that place, well, that would be kind of hard if every journalist that goes there ends up, gone. If you are a journalist and you're like, I want that big break, I probably wouldn't hit. I wouldn't hit Haiti, to be honest. It says an 8th journalist has perished in that place this year, the Inter-American Press Association said Wednesday. Fritz Derillas, who worked for Radio Tele Megastar, was banged down near his home in the capital of Port-au-Prince, which just so happens to be where all of this controversial stuff happens to be happening. So, kind of weird. It says, we continue to deplore crimes against journalists this bloody year in our region, said Carlos Jornet, association's president for the Commission of Press Freedom and Information. So if you are somebody there that's like, hey, right on the ground, say you've got video of something happening, tanks or whatever may be happening, I don't know, I'm not there, then, that might turn you into a big, red laser right here. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you haven't checked out Redacted, they do a great job. They have brought on people that are actually in the cities. But what I will say, though, is the official story, of course, is being debated right now. And there's little actual information because I believe a lot of it is either going through some sort of filter of some sort or being corrected. So we will, of course, we'll cover it until whatever happens there. And then the gang leader Barbecue says fuel can start flowing in Haiti. Dex, do you want to explain what's going on here? And Barbecue, by the way, definitely looks like he would sneak one in a chicken.
Probably looks a little more scarier than Corn Pop. So, yes, Barbecue is his name, and he's been holding back the fuel. He's been holding it back and had a blockade of it for at the main terminal, and I think since over Sunday for quite a while. But anyway, apparently now what has happened is he has released it and said that the fuel can start flowing back in, telling the truck drivers to come in and pick up fuel if they need to. They shouldn't be harmed. If you don't know what's happening there, ever since the president was sort of taken out a while back, the country has sort of started to be overrun by gangs. And that's this is a perfect example of one gang leader. Barbecue is his name, again. In this case, holding back the fuel for various reasons. I don't necessarily know all of the exact reasons why he was holding back the fuel, but he's been sort of incentivized or come to his senses, or something has happened to cause him to actually release that.
Yes, and obviously it's a big deal. Just to let people know, a lot of people thought that I saw a comment saying that, this is that this guy's always been a lowlife. He actually was previously a national police officer turned gang leader. So it's a very strange thing. All I would say is definitely do a little bit more research when it comes to it, and don't take the first 10 results on the oogles. And then the cholera death toll rises to 136 as outbreak gets worse and worse every day. It says a deadly resurgence of cholera in Haiti has claimed 136 lives so far, according to the Caribbean nation's health ministry. 89 of the people who were infected died in a hospital of cholera treatment centers, while 47 of them perished at home, according to the Haitian health ministry statement. It says that the government is working with international health organizations to respond to the crisis. It says we've been receiving 250 people a day lately. There's a surge in cases in most parts of the metropolitan area. This is very concerning for us, as we have limited capacity and around 350 beds in our cholera treatment centers. So one thing that some are saying is that this could possibly mean that obviously this brings in people to call to give them help and everything else, which we'll cover here in a second. In fact, Canada is now even getting involved. Obviously, if you have a problem, then you can come in with the solution, and that solution can, of course, be whatever solution they want it to be. And of course, they can say the solution's one thing, and the solution ends up being very diluted, and maybe secretive flights and all sorts of other things. So again, we'll cover that here in a second. But before we do, I do want to remind you that to make sure to go check out the Energy Kodiak X2. Of course, this one, is coming up, and the ship date is coming up soon. If you do want to get a generator by Christmas, then this would be the one to get. Again, around Christmas time, they're going to be shipping these out. It is a UPS seamless backup power supply, which means it will click right over. If something goes out, it will switch right over to your generator in less than whatever it is, milliseconds, 10 milliseconds. But again, this is 0 to 100% in 75 minutes. It is all built in. It is plug and play. You plug a solar panel or multiple into this, and you can charge it extremely fast. It is very, very an amazing system. You can also charge it from your wall, charge it from your car, and you can actually dual link two systems to allow you to double the output. You can output a huge amount with this. The strength of this one is definitely that you can power some of the bigger stuff when you dual link these. It has 6,000 charge cycles, which is a huge bragging right, because essentially if you use this for 16 years every single day, running it from full to empty, and you charged it every single day, it would still have 80% of its battery capacity. So this thing will last decades and decades and decades. It is very, very amazing having a solar generator, because obviously as long as that next day comes, and the next day, even if it's overcast, you have yourself power. Again, this is a great thing as well, because it is silent compared to a gas-powered generator. If you do want to go stealth, this is definitely a better idea as far as that goes. I do believe you should have both. There's obvious situations that it would be much better to have gas, as far as, like, say if there was a nuclear winter and the sky was covered. That's one of the few and very unlikely scenarios that you would need one or the other. But again, the best thing would be to have both. As far as this goes, this is really good as well for RVers. It can plug in. It actually has all of the ports for air conditioning systems and things like that. So make sure to go check that out, marfooglenews.com/energy. When you do that, not only are you getting a discount on these products, but you are also helping our independent media. Again, thank you as well for everybody that has ordered. And also check out the Flex 1500, obviously their flagship system, which is modular and can be altered and expanded up to 96 batteries. All right, Dex, so do you want to talk about how Trudeau says Canadians have to intervene?
Well, yeah. So think about this. Like, we've got this turmoil that's coming to a head in the country of Haiti, and specifically around, you've got the violence, you've got the gangs that are taking over, you've got lack of water, you've got other utilities that are not working, and sometimes are on, sometimes are off because things are just not being managed and run correctly. And so obviously there's a cholera outbreak, which we just talked about, from the lack of clean water. So all of these things are sort of coming to a head. And then you've got countries around, like ourselves and others, all including Mexico and now Canada, saying, hey, we need to do something. And I think, we'd heard earlier that the U.S. and Mexico had said, hey, let's figure out if there's something the UN should do, because they didn't want to come right out and say that they were going to do it. And now Trudeau is coming out and saying, yes, we should do this. Canadians should have the intervention. And of course, the U.S. is coming out saying, yeah, we support that idea, because, Canada would be an ideal leader, as they sort of said, quote unquote. So that's kind of an interesting turn on this. I know we've had a lot of people have been talking about the U.S. involvement, or either lack of or over involvement, depending on how you look at it or what news you're looking at. But yes, this is another spin on what's happening, and we're trying to unpack the actual truth of what's going on down there, along with many others.
But the truth is very hard to find. Hence, every time a journalist disappears there, it's a lot harder to get that truth out. It's very odd. What I am wondering, and my real thoughts on this are, what is really happening? Why are major countries so concerned on what is going on? Obviously, we step in and aid all sorts of different countries. We've stepped in. Most of us know, though, when we really look at it, like, why did we go to the Middle East and all of this, that there's usually something that prospers these major countries. There's usually a reason why they step in, and that reason is usually a little bit convoluted. So we don't know exactly what that is. I don't. If you do, or if you know somebody who is an expert in this, or if you know somebody in Haiti, I do have somebody who has friends and family there, and I would say this. So what they are stating is something that is not allowed. Basically, what they're stating is something that all of these AP things are saying, oh, that didn't happen. And what they are saying is that basically their entire restaurant is full of people from my country just kicking it and hanging out and planning things and doing all sorts of stuff in their family restaurant. So I don't know. I know what I believe, but again, you guys will have to do your own research on this one. And one of the key points here is to let you guys know you should look into this, because it will matter down the road. I think something bigger is going on. Obviously, this hasn't been a distraction. This has not been talked about. And normally, things that aren't talked about definitely matter, especially if you can't talk about them. And then hackers leak Australian health records on the dark web. Now, I want to point out today, one of our Foogle fam members, I should have asked if, one of our Foogle family members actually sent us something that we'll be attaching to the show. I won't say how she got it, but there was an email that went out to Methodist hospital system, and they essentially said that they had a huge kind of failure, right? They said, we have no evidence it's necessarily a cyber attack, but it's still down. So there is hospital systems that are down right now here in the U.S. So something fishy might be going on. Obviously, we know that the medical systems have been hit by cyber attacks before. 911 systems have been hit in not only the U.S., in Europe, and in Canada. data. Of course, internet has been shut down in different places and in fact, gone down and had failures. But we still don't know what happened there. As far as in Australia, it says that hackers actually leaked health records on the dark web. Now, it makes sense if this is happening right there in Australia, that they may have moved on and possibly moved on to this hospital that we were talking about. It looks like Methodist Healthcare. So it says earlier today, HCA experienced a network infrastructure failure in the HCA regional data center that supports MHS. This failure has resulted in an unplanned downtime to Meditech, Patient Keeper, eClinicalWorks, iMobile, Desktop Messing, and Alerts, and other systems. To the best of our knowledge, they said that, they worded it very carefully, this event was not caused by malicious cyber attack, such as virus or ransomware. It said HCA technical support teams are working to resolve the issue using all available resources at this time. We do not have an estimated time of resolution. We will send updates to the medical staff when available. So it's still happening, and it says that overnight, messages may be sent by scrolling desktop alerts once online. So they're all of a sudden going to go and pop up. It says all physicians and providers should continue to use paper downtime forms until the downtime is resolved. Why is this important? Well, if different hospitals are getting hit, if your information is getting hacked, that's something you should probably know about. This isn't only in Australia. It very well, and we don't know for a fact because they say, again, they were very careful to say they were very careful to say, to the best of our knowledge, it was not a hack. So that was local here in the U.S. I wonder if something bigger is happening. It says hackers on Wednesday began leaking sensitive medical records stolen from a major Australian health insurer that had earlier refused to pay the group's ransom demand. Medibank told investors and customers that a sample of data from 9.7 million clients had been posted on a dark web forum. It says names, birth dates, addresses, passport numbers, and information on medical claims were among the sensitive personal data posted anonymously early Wednesday. Medibank said more leaks were likely, and it says that the files appear to be a sample of the data that we earlier determined was accessed by the criminal. Assuming it's a single criminal or a group or a country, we don't know. It says we expect the criminal to continue to release files on the dark web. So if you're in Australia, which I know a bunch of, we actually do have a good amount of Foogle fam there, I would say watch your, credit report, watch your identity very closely because a lot of stuff just got put out. Especially if you bank with, or not bank, but it's called Medibank. If you are with any of the systems there that they are talking about, make sure to check with your local Australian Securities Exchange. All right. And thank you, everybody that popped in. It looks like we have 3,300. Lisa R. Hall, thank you for modding. Thank you. And make sure to thank your mods. They're doing an awesome job of keeping it awesome and positive down there. And then thank you over on D Live. It looks like we have Zippy Moons in the house. Says, hey, everyone, much love to the fam. I'll catch the rest of the replay. Praying for all of those in need. Again, pray for Trinity as well. Zippy Moons, thank you. Vicky K, Kimbria, Chance Paladin, Wonder Woman, if you're in there, thank you so much. Rhiannon S, nice to see you. Chilster Deluxe, Carol McLean, Kanos Kids, and I apologize. I figured if it was okay, then it was okay. Bonnie Mullen, CMDR, thank you. Unseen Apex, Metabank is Netspend. Looks like the sim is collapsing, seeking truth. Nature Lover, doesn't meta mean death? I actually don't know. I knew there was some sort of thing that I remember seeing an article about why he named it that, but I cannot remember. Wolves, Brian McCann, Lays and Blaze. Lays and Blaze. Nice to see you, Stealth Blowed. Stealth Blowed? Did I just say that? Stealth Blowed. Stealth Mode, thank you. Family of 9 Adventures Live. Love you, Marv. Hey, nice to see you. Greg Martin, KT Cleans a Lot. Save Earth with Love. Hey, that sounds like a great idea. Savage Prepper, nice to see you. Nice to see some preppers in the house. Kitsy Willie, Bobby Sue, and everybody else that is popping in. Boohoo Meta Tanking. Yeah, so I think we have a piece in here about basically he chose the dream of VR over 11,000 jobs. They're saying that he chose a fantasy over 11,000 jobs. I don't know about that because honestly, I do believe that it's the scary future. And I think that a lot of people are going to doubt it for a minute, but once it comes, it's not going to go away. All right, and then Dex, do you want to talk about North Korea firing yet another ballistic missile? And that is according to Seoul's military.
Here we go again. We just thought maybe they had taken a break, and I guess they did all of a day or two, and now they're at it again. So this time they went all the way across their country. I think there's a map in this article that might show the trajectory. They went something like 290 kilometers, 180 miles, an altitude of about 30 kilometers and a speed of Mach 6. So, again, what some would say is a test. It is a ballistic missile. It's definitely something that could reach anybody in that region. It's yet again another poke from them towards the rest of us. And, I can only assume we're going to see a lot of pushback from SK, from Japan, and even from the US, because they continue to do this. And and we've said they can't do it. We said definitely no nukes. We said definitely, they're going to have a big response, even if they do a test. I don't know how big that response really will be, because a lot of times words are just words, but he's not stopping. We talked about the fact that obviously he's got tons of weapons because he's able to launch all these all the time, even though he's got sanctions that should prevent him from having them and preventing him from building them or getting the materials. Somehow he's getting it. So, and he's got no shortage.
Obviously, of course, they can make anything there. And that goes back to my theory that a lot of these countries, including, who knows, our CIA could be using NK to manufacture or do experiments or whatever it may be. But I'm sure that Xi and Vlad most likely use NK to produce things that they're not supposed to. I'm sure a lot of countries probably do, because this is a hermit state that it's cut off from everything. They have nothing to lose. They've already lost all of their connections with the world. So how do they keep running? Well, they do have a black market type of system where they actually send their citizens out and do all sorts of black market stuff, like sell stolen goods and produce fake stuff and all sorts of things. There's a lot of different ways that they have money coming in. And I believe part of it is that they are making weapons or different things that aren't supposed to be done. Who knows? They could have an entire white phosphorus factory or something, things that are totally illegal, but it would be okay there because who's going to stop them? Especially since they started launching what the world thinks is nukes, right? We know that they did all these low-yield nuclear tests, and everybody said, oh, they're failing. These nukes would barely take out a city block in New York. But then later, Peter Pry and the EMP task force put together by the Pentagon, they ended up saying that all of those were actually successes, that all of those ones that we remembered a decade plus ago of all of these tests that kept going low yield, they were actually successes because they were looking for a low yield nuclear weapon because they were trying to perfect their super EMP weapon. This is why we have talked about EMP. It is one of the biggest threats out there. That's why we ended up trying to find something, and we found EMP shield back in the day. Again, this is something that they already have, and we know that they got it from Russia. So there's very little doubt that Vlad and NK and most likely Xi, No Limits partners with Vlad, that they're doing stuff, making weapons and doing all sorts of other things there. So as far as these missile launches, do you think that they're just doing it on their own, or do you think that they are a puppet of either Xi, Vlad, or even somebody else in the dark? I don't think Kim is the one doing this. And again, what happened with how it was Kim for a while, then it was all of a sudden his sister after his surgery, and he disappeared, and his sister started talking. Even Dennis Rodman, the famous NBA player, the crazy hair, all that, the bad boy of the NBA, he is best friends with Kim, or at least has been over there. He's been invited there, partied with Kim Jong-un. It's a very weird backstory in itself. He said that after the surgery, or before the surgery, he said, if you start seeing his sister start talking, then something is up. And right after the surgery, the sisters started talking, and it was weird. Something is going on with NK. I don't know what, but it seems like they have nothing to lose, and they could be I guess the scapegoat that could do something horrible, because then they would respond to NK. They wouldn't respond to anyone else. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I really appreciate everybody that has just joined us. Looks like everybody on Rumble has just joined us over on Rumble. Let's see here. Thank you, Don Bali, being the first one out the gate. Thank you for the super chat, Don. I appreciate that. Nice to see you. Stephen McMahon says, Adam, you might have a new strain of the ch-ch-ch. I have symptoms. Other around me, some tests told positive for the ch-ch-choos. I don't know. When I first got sick a week ago, I thought it felt exactly like what I felt when I tested positive. And what's weird is that first time was the first time I ever had symptoms like I've had, like the nose thing, that it was like felt like something was physically up there. But this time it was negative with one of those at-home ones. And then everybody I knew and the person I know I got this from, they ended up coming over about a day after they felt better, and they also tested negative. So I don't know what's going on with that, but who knows? And then thanks, Guy. Appreciate it. Ryan B. Chanel Bivaliqua. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for the massive support of our channel. Thank you for supporting independent. Chanel Bivaliqua. Thank you for stopping by once again. And then James Parks, just a reminder, thank you, Lady Green Eyes, last night, trying to make you smile. I just want to know one thing, Adam. Who let the dogs out? Woof. Woof. Feel better. Praying for you. Carol Clean, Stephen McMahon, Jeff P. I missed you the other night. Skinwalker Ranch is sitting on top of a deep underground base shown in a 1978 leaked map. Again, Jeff P. Actually, I do think I responded to that one. I would love to see that map. I'm totally curious in that kind of stuff. And then thanks, Jeff P. If you are here tonight, I don't know if you are. I appreciate it. And then, of course, let's see here. Thank you, Darren and Stephen Wilkes. Sorry, Stephen Wilkshire. Appreciate it. And Jennifer, thank you so much. All right, Dex, let's cover Germany, and then I'll hit the other thing right here before it.
So if you recall, Germany, the chancellor, as well as the head CEOs of some of their companies, were over in Xi's land not too long ago. We're over visiting, probably looking for a deal on gas and other things. And I'm assuming they may have been talking about this, but the point being is they went over, they made this big trip. They tried to talk about, hey, we're going to work together for the betterment. And now they come home, and here we are. Germany is blocking the sale of chips to factories in Xi's country over security fears. Exactly the same thing the U.S. is doing. So they are on the bandwagon, so to speak, to prevent them from having any technology that they may have that's significant or of high value and speed in the tech sector related to chip manufacturing and or the types of things that might be used, as we said in yesterday's show, for AI or for supercomputing or anything like that. So everybody's sort of putting the screws, so to speak, on Xi around the tech side. So this is definitely, some might call it a chip war or chip conflict.
And by the way, this is the one of the kind of promotions for the movie Dragon Day. If you haven't seen that movie, very obviously not a super AAA title or anything, but even in this promotion, they show basically a microchip. And in the story of this, which is actually an extremely, extremely realistic take on it. I mean, there might be some unrealistic stuff in the movie, but like actually, I don't know. The bracelets being able to take people's lives, that actually could be possible. And we covered a story on that. But as far as this goes, it actually shows a chip. And in the movie, basically what happened is all of the chips that were made over in Xi's country all of a sudden had a back door, and they were able to shut down all communication in the U.S. At the same time, they hit us with EMPs, and they had already set up people inside the United States. Now, this is all fictional. This was a movie called Dragon Day in 2013. And it shows the local sheriff of this small town go out to the main protagonist, house, and he already has bracelets from Xi's country, and he says, if you want to be able to move, if you want to be able to get rations, food, or water, you have to have one of these, and we pick who gets them, and whoever gets to wear these bracelets basically gets to live under the new rule, right? And these red bracelets essentially track them, do all of that kind of stuff. What's so freaky is this was back in 2013, and it even shows in the beginning of the movie, it says, oh, look at how much, it shows a number of how much we owe Xi and his country and our debt to their country, and it says, and it gets up to a crazy number, and that crazy number, I believe, is close to what we realistically owe them now. And their thing was like, basically, we kept loaning money, and finally they came to collect. With the Belt and Road Initiative, what Xi is doing with these, countries is basically giving them loans that they absolutely know they can't pay back. And then when they default on them, they can basically collect or start putting things there, or put resources there, put military there, put bases there, do whatever they want, or even somewhat control wherever they do this with. Is some form of this happening right now? That is a huge question in people's mind. What do you guys think? Did you see Dragon Day? Again, we have a lot of new people. I know that a lot of old school Foogle fam already know way about this. Definitely a freaky title, that's for sure. Let's see here. Yeah, so Germany blocking. This is yet another thing that is coming in, and it says Germany's economic ministry said in a statement that it had prohibited Elmos Semiconductor, which makes chips for the automotive industry, from selling its factory in Dortmund to Silex, a Swedish subsidiary of Xi's Psy Microelectronics. It says because the acquisition would have endangered the public order and safety of Germany. So we're definitely seeing all of the pieces set into play to go to conflict with China. It's pretty simple to see. All of the signs have been there for a long time. But now all of those things that says, well, if we were going to go to war with China, we wouldn't be doing all this business with them. Well, now those things are being cut. Investments are being cut. Now they're being called security concerns and things like this. So what do you think will happen? Do you think this is all part of the plan? Let me know in the comments down below. And by the way, just a reminder, again, with fiction and real life, in real life, there's a lot of different things that can go wrong. Most people look at having extra food around as an insurance. Of course, everybody else thinks it's crazy to have extra food and water. It's basically insurance just like you have on everything else. You have life insurance in the small chance that you might get hit by something or get hit by lightning or have a heart attack. You have car insurance in the unlikely event you'll get in a car accident. Again, nobody drives out every day and pays that insurance because they don't think it could happen. But again, there are a lot of disasters, earthquakes, storms that people end up getting stuck and they don't have more than 3 days of food in their fridge. In fact, the average American has 3 days of food and water in their house, and that's absolutely sad. If you want to get extra food, and especially food that is basically ready to last 25 years, you can go to marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, this is long-term survival food, freeze-dried foods that will last over 2 decades. So one thing about this is if you do get it now, the prices of these have tripled in just the last 3 years. If in 3 years from now that same pattern holds, the prices will be 3 times what they are now, and you'll still have 22 years of shelf life on it, and you invested now. That's why many of my peers are basically saying this is turning into an investment to people. Go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can get up to $250 off on the 3-month program there, and that will have everything that one person needs for 3 months or 2 people for 45 days. Again, there's all sorts of different kits. You can get a single meal. You can get, again, a 72-hour kit for something you can throw in your go bag. There's all sorts of stuff. You can do it a little bit at a time, but this is definitely the best and most affordable way if you go the 3-month route because you're getting it in bulk and you're saving a lot of money. That ends up helping us. They give us a small commission and they're giving you a huge discount. So you're getting something you can physically keep and you're helping our independent media at the same time. Without this, it's definitely we've gone through 4 years of adpocalypses and all sorts of crazy stuff. So we appreciate that you guys support us. And if you do choose to get this stuff, because you're already looking into it, if you can get it through us, that would be awesome. All right. And then, Dex, do you want to talk about COP27? Kerry brushes off talk of a thaw in U.S. and China ties.
Yeah, so if you want to know all about COP27 and all the green and environmental stuff, go read the whole article. I think the important part of this is in this type of these type of meetings where they get together and they have these types of discussions, usually the counterparts from other countries like Xi's country would be there and be doing things like collaborating and making good discussions, or at least the appearance of. They always say they're going to do the right thing. They don't necessarily do it when it comes to that type of environmental issues. But I think the real point is when people press Kerry on this, they said, "Hey, it sounds like U.S. and Xi's relations on this are back on track. Everything you guys must be negotiating and be back on track." And he was quick to say, "No. We had some informal talks, but nothing. We're not back on track." So the point being, as we think about the messaging that's coming out around Xi's country, whether it's the chips, whether it's the spies, whether it's all of the other things that we have reported over the past month, sort of painting that picture of negativity. This is, again, one of those, because it's probably, if they had talks, they probably had decent talks, but he comes out and says, "Oh, no, it's negative. It's not good." It's like, don't think that things are on track between us and Xi. So that's, I think that's kind of important. The rest of the story is pretty long. It goes into, all the other minutia of the whole nature of that meeting of the COP27. If that's your gig, feel free. But this sort of ties back into that bigger picture, I believe, of how, we've been talking about this obvious programming of the messaging that's coming to the people about the negative side, and getting us ready for this mind thought that, Xi's country is bad and we're going to rally behind, ourselves against them for many different reasons. This could be another one.
Yeah, when we're not even talking on certain things like this, it's weird. And when you look at their side of things, like if you look at their mouthpieces, the Global Times, Shenzhen Daily, the People's Daily, stuff like that, when you look at their stuff, they are basically gung-ho. They're telling their people that they're gung-ho on the environment. But we know that Xi has there's huge pollution over there. But they have said in recent years that they have cut all the bureaucratic tape, and even Trudeau said that he admires how they have gotten, their pollution down to certain levels, and they've been able to do all this stuff because they don't have to go through the bureaucratic tape cutting things. But I don't know, because I have heard from so many people that have lived there that it's still just nasty in so many areas. We, of course, have areas that lots of these, the CV type stuff comes from these open air markets and all sorts of things that are happening there. I just think it's like, are they going to keep doing all of this weather stuff separately if we do get in a conflict? Is there something bigger than even what they say is, impending? The thing is weird that for 5 years I've talked about the asteroid stuff, and I know that if you're new here, you probably don't know, but I have found a lot of weird events over the last 5-6 years, and a lot of the country's actions kind of say that there is something out there as far as not so much aliens, but more of like an asteroid. And with the sunspot shutting down, all sorts of weird events that have happened, and then, of course, all of the missions they have done, the Hayabusa 2, the Osiris Rex, Osiris Apex, which is going to land on Apophis after it's done with its when it's doing its current mission. You have all of the different space races going on for whatever reason. After something happened, it was like something overnight. They needed a Space Force. I think it was around 2017 or whenever Space Force was put into place. Right before that, all these weird things were going on. Presidents were turning around in their planes. There was emergency meetings in every country. And there was no big event that the public saw that knew about this stuff. And it was like, what the hell is going on? They're putting seeds and samples of things, DNA samples from every species and seeds from every plant, animal on Earth. And they're either burying them in the ground or sending them to the moon. They're actually they're going to be sending basically a Noah's Ark to the moon. And you, of course, come back to what Elon Musk is doing. Elon Musk and every other elite that has a ton of money, they are so hyper-focused on space when there's plenty of money to be made on the ground, especially if you're a billionaire. These guys weren't rich off of space. They put their money into space as a risk. They took their own money out of their super rich elite pockets that they could just keep pumping, and they could have been buying properties and businesses and all sorts of stuff. They instead bought rockets to get off of Earth. It's like the movie Don't Look Up is secretly real, and that's just how I feel. It's like I've used this analogy they have found, and this is kind of relating to the people that, of course, talk about Planet X and stuff. Essentially, that scientists found out there in space, there were all these things getting pulled in gravitational-wise to an object that they actually couldn't see the object things were getting pulled into. So they could tell that something is there, but they can't see it, and they can see everything around it is getting pulled in. Like there's a giant object that they can't actually see, but you can see everything else getting pulled in. That's how I feel about this, as far as you can see all of these reactions. And if there was publicly, they came out and said there's an asteroid coming towards Earth in the next 15 years, and it's going to smack into us, it's guaranteed. They've covered the numbers, they've changed the numbers. It would make a whole lot more sense why all of these countries are doing all of these weird things. The artificial moons, the artificial suns, the laser missions to hit stuff out of the sky, the grid around Earth with Skylink. When Skylink first came out, I said, there's something weird about Skylink. I said, I bet it's a defense platform, some sort of grid around the planet to detect things. And of course, for the longest time, people go, oh, it's internet. Well, then we covered, long after I said it, and I said it over and over, they said that it actually can detect hypersonic objects. What they tell the public is that's because they're there for hypersonic missiles and things, right? They're to detect nuclear missiles or hypersonic missiles. I think they're pointed out. I think they're detecting things coming towards us. But that's just, and then just a few days ago, they said, oh, we found a huge asteroids heading towards us from the sun's direction. It's like, it's just a side theory of mine, but I think that if we did, just tomorrow, they told us, because they won't tell us, they wouldn't tell us and panic and have everything shut down. They wouldn't tell us until last minute. It would make a whole lot more sense why stuff like CV and all this other stuff ended up happening. It would make so much more sense why Bill Gates and all of these other people are investing in food and in land to grow food. It's just like, what the hell is going on? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your opinion. And then the Pentagon. Russia has likely lost half of its tanks in UKR. So you guys know my opinion on this. If you look at the actual tanks they've lost, some of them are absolutely ancient. The weapons that they have taken from them are 80-year-old rifles. I think that this is all, basically them throwing in all of their garbage first because they are expecting a bigger war. Dex, what did you think about this? Again, I'm going to look up the old school tanks that they used to use. Those are the ones that they are grabbing.
Yeah, this is coming from the Secretary of Defense for Policy, Colin Kahl. And, this is his opinion, his, I should say it's more of his statement that's coming out. And it's coming out from a position of authority and a position of from the Pentagon. So it doesn't mean we have to believe it. It just means that that's what they're telling us. Okay. But the point being is that, he does claim that they've lost half of their main battle tanks in their entire military. So basically half of all tanks that they owned are now gone. And, I think he says it, quote unquote, bogged down more than 80% of their land force in UKR. So those are some pretty significant numbers if they're true. And I think the other thing he said is that basically they've suffered so much that they're going to come out worse than they were when they went in. And obviously, anybody would. If you start and lose equipment, no matter what, you're going to be less unless you can manufacture it fast enough. So this is pretty bold statements that are coming out. Again, we've had our doubts as to what's true and what's not, because you can only get certain information out of UKR from a UKR. So, you have to, you got to assume that these guys are at least using the information that's coming out of there. That's all they can get, right? Not that they can only get the news. I'm sure they have intelligence information that comes out, but at the same time, there's, the stories are always going to be adjusted for the producer of the story to make themselves look good, whether it's Vlad saying one thing or whether it's Zelensky saying another thing. So, we have to always take this type of information with a big grain of salt, no matter what side it's coming from.
Well, I want to point out that leaked audio of Adolf from WW2 talking about how he just could not believe that. He said, if somebody told me that a country had 35,000 tanks, and by the way, the most recent thing says 1,400 to 1,700 tanks have been destroyed, most of them being the T-62 tanks. These are ancient tanks. These are old-ass tanks. Adolf says, if you would have told me that there were 35,000 tanks, or any country had 35,000 tanks on a field and they mobilized 35,000 tanks, I would have told you you're mad. You're seeing double. You're seeing ghosts. You're silly. You're basically, Adolf was like, you're smoking crack. He said, but then there they were. Russia had 35,000 tanks. And Adolf saw it and goes, what the heck? And this is in his own words. It's a recording, one of the craziest recordings of him saying, and it's him admitting. He goes, every day there was new Americans adding to the battle. It was just crazy. It's a crazy audio. I will make sure that it's linked to tonight's show. Dex, do you have that? I think you probably linked it last night too, or the night before. I sent you that audio. But when you hear it, you realize, so if there's 1,400, you think this new, in modern day age, they've been spending every single year half their GDP. All of their GDP, half their GDP has been spent on their military. And you think that all of those T-62s, that's their whole fighting force? You are mad. You are, as Adolf says, smoking crack. I don't know why Adolf sounds Russian, but you guys get the point. They're throwing in all their garbage first. Like, you can have the T-62s. They have like the T-80s and the T-90s and all the crazy new ones. They're not collecting those. They have said that they've collected a couple of them, but those aren't the tanks they're sending in. So if they had 35,000 in World War II, you think that they would have any less for a modern war, since they've been preparing for war, and they're of course been training for stuff that we don't even talk about here in the U.S.? I'd love to. I wish I could. Yeah, did the Red Army really have 35,000 tanks? Again, I'll actually connect you to that clip.
I've got a stat for you on the current tanks, if you want. That's in screener, if you want to grab that image, screenshot.
And even whatever the numbers are, I bet you they're not telling us everything they have. That's through WW1 and WW2. You have to think. They have actual experts that have studied previous wars. They eat, live, and breathe this stuff. We do on our side as well. In the U.S. and Japan and in China and Australia, there's people, their whole jobs. These are think tanks that simulate things, and they look at history. They use history as a guide as far as previous battles and how they've gone. Russia every single time has basically let people know they have this when they really have that. Vlad, of course, we've covered. They have the fake tanks. They have the blow-up tanks, the inflatable tanks. They have all sorts of distractions. Same with China. Same with, of course, the USA. We have them as well. There's all sorts of things that we're not going to find out until you're on the front lines. And I bet you they are preparing for a much bigger conflict. And they're saving the best for last. Let's see here. You said you put it in screener? Yeah.
Yeah, I put in screener. I also added the link to the video about those secret recordings from his voice back in the second conflict.
Yeah, it's a trippy. If you are interested by history and World War II stuff, then you most definitely have to listen to it. Sorry. So it says that they have 417 active, 200 in storage, 480 of the T-80s, which are the more advanced ones, and then T-72, 2,030 active, 8,000 in storage, and then the T-14 Armada. It's not even mentioning the T-62s. So all of these are not the ones that they're actually collecting. And I believe they probably have a whole lot more of this, and every single military has hidden assets and hidden things that they don't put out, especially Vlad and China. They don't like giving out their secrets. The U.S. does put out a lot of stuff for budgets, but again, how do you explain all of the trillions of dollars that goes missing? Like before 2001, when they said that there was like $21 trillion missing. Those go towards things that are secret, that are never found out about. We don't know where that money goes. Of course, most of it probably into a pocket. But my opinion is this is a modern day conflict. They're going to be better prepared than the last one, where they have a whole lot more money than they did during that last conflict. All right, and we'll attach this as well. You can see they actually have right there 10,000 T-72s. They don't even mention the T-62s, and I wonder if the T-62s and the T-72s I don't think are the same. But if I am wrong, correct me, please. Let's see here. And then
the T-62s, Adam. I know it's not in that list for some reason, but if you look it up in Wiki, just the T-62 alone, they list the number of losses of them each year. And in 2022, they lost 203 T-62s.
And that's just from their normal conflicts that they go and send them to. It would be really crappy to be one of the conscripts that gets sent in with ancient gear and come up to our Abrams tanks, whatever, advanced gear that the U.S. is giving UKR. Unlucky guys, that's for sure. And then he's gone. Ukrainska. Pravda's source confirms that a deputy head of Kherson Oblast Occupation Administration, this Kirill, I believe, Kirill Stremenosov, so-called deputy head of the Vladian Occupation Administration of the Kherson Oblast. So they say he died in a car crash. Out of all the ways that he could have gone, he went this way. We obviously know that Vlad had an incident with his actual presidential convoy, and you had Zelensky on the same day, I believe. Could have been one day apart. Was it the same day that Vlad and Zelensky both had something hit their convoy? Zelensky, they said it was a big boom, and then Vlad, they said that something tried to hit their, or it might have been vice versa. Which, by the way, they actually have a picture, just a normal picture of Vlad in the background. That's kind of sus, don't you think? Not like a picture of his wife or something, but they just stare up at a picture of Vlad. If I was Vlad and I walked into that office, I'd be like, dude, take that down. That's weird. What are you doing? Why do you have a picture of me in my suit? And then look, they have an actual flag here that like matches the picture. I don't know. Something super sus. Super spect about this. Which, by the way, the whole thing is sus as far as them leaving and their public announcement saying that, it's staying there is futile. When do you see the Russian men, especially and Russian generals, say, "Oh, it's futile. We're losing. They're kicking our butts. We don't want to lose any more people. We want to save as many lives as possible of our troops." They could be doing that for better approval in their country, but I don't know. I doubt that. But we will see. I guess we'll have to wait. This whole week is going to be very, very important. And the next 48 hours, like I said 2 days ago, this is going to be a very important time. We'll see what happens, and we'll probably know within 72 hours of what is actually going to happen in Kherson. If something big happens, which everybody is leading up to, then we will let you know. Make sure to subscribe, hit that button, hit the notification bell, and click all. All right. And Dex, I would love for you to talk about how they paid Iran in 1 second here. I do want to remind you, though, if you do want to protect yourself against EMP, there's really one really great way to do it, and that's to put an EMP shield on it. This is a device that can ground the signal from an EMP and a Carrington level event, solar event. That is marfooglenews.com/EMP. EMP shield. It actually grounds the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before whatever the signal is able to fry your car, your boat, your motorcycles, your ham radio, your generators, and even your home. They make, I believe, over 40 devices, and all of them can protect different objects. So again, they make one for pretty much anything that you want to keep running after an EMP hits, including all 3 phases of an EMP or a solar event. If we have a CME and a Carrington level event, then you would definitely want to have one of these on your car. If you work far from home and you have a car that would end up being susceptible to an EMP, then I'd highly recommend getting one of these on. It only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to do it yourself. Anybody could wire this into their car. It's extremely simple. For the home version, that will protect 250 linear feet, so anything plugged in within 250 linear feet. That one, you do need an electrician just because of codes, I believe. You have to have an electrician wire that in. But if you do want to protect your stuff, again, I'd highly recommend it. If any of the countries do what basically the most talked about event happening or the most talked about threat to the United States and other countries, if it does happen, they're not going to protect you. They're going to protect their government and their military buildings. In fact, DOD has used EMP Shield, DHS has used EMP Shield, and the DEMSO team is using EMP Shield. In fact, they're officially on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. But I guarantee you, they're going to protect all of the important resources first, and then we will be dead last. If you don't want to be dead last, then I'd highly recommend doing it yourself. This helps us, and you get $50 off per device. All right, and then Dex, talk about Vlad paid for suicide drones by sending a plane full of cash. This sounds familiar.
It certainly does. So I think that country only likes to accept plane full of cash as their preferred payment. No check, no MasterCard, no Visa, just plane full of cash. As you all probably remember when we did a deal with them back under 2 presidents ago, Mr. O, we sent a plane full of cash. So it's kind of funny or ironic or whatever you want to call it, but apparently Vlad had to send 140 million in cash on a plane to them to make payments for that the shipment of drones that they say they weren't using, but everybody knows they were and they could see it, and that was well proven that was true. So yeah, sending the cash in, you could also say, hey, they've, obviously the sanctions are blocking their ability to use things like SWIFT or transfer money around, especially large amounts like that. So maybe they did have to literally send a plane full of cash, but it's also a little humorous to look at this country that's receiving it because they tend to like to receive planes full of cash. So, anyway, that's the story. It's, I don't think it required those 2 huge planes that are in the picture there. To carry that much money. It's probably fit in a small plane, but yes, 140 million in cash.
Yeah, I mean, why can't that crash on somebody? Why can't that be the Donnie Darko? That plane crashes in your backyard. Imagine that. Obviously, we've seen the scene when a money truck crashes on the freeway. People go absolutely nuts. Imagine a plane full of cash, $140 million. What's even crazier is they just sent that. Somebody in California just won, what is that, 4 or 5 times that amount? Almost $1 billion. So as much as they are actually sending for these drones, somebody just won way more than that. Think about that. The entire country is paying $140 million for these crazy weapons and stuff. Whoever just won that lottery and could even take the cash option of $997 million, think about how powerful that person is overnight. And that's why I question if they have something to do with, if somebody wins and they don't like that person, can they change it? And I'm telling you, look at all the secret government stuff that goes on. If they saw somebody they didn't think, because what can you do to somebody with that much money? Once you have that much money, you can, you're like untouchable. And I'm telling you that because we all know that the very, very rich and elite, they don't go by the same rules. They all of a sudden, it's like, what do you call it? The Beverly Hillbillies, right? Things, it's like once you have that amount of money, it's just instantly different. You're treated in an entirely different zone. Those people are nothing like us. And then latest forecast and track map as Nicole spins towards Florida. We talked about this at its inception when it was starting, and now it says just over a month after Hurricane Ian's devastation in Florida, which is crazy. It's only been about a month. It says the state is again bracing for landfall from Hurricane Nicole. It says this time from an unusual November strike that prompted a hurricane warning along with central part of Florida's East Coast Tuesday. Tropical storm Nicole continued to strengthen as it swirled across the western Atlantic from Tuesday to Wednesday. It says an AccuWeather meteorologist said that the massive storm will make landfall as a Category 1 hurricane along Florida's east coast on early Thursday morning. AccuWeather forecasters have rated Nicole a 1 on the AccuWeather Real Impact Scale for hurricanes due to the dangers of a damaging storm surge, high winds, and flooding rainfall. Impacts will also occur for the long duration since hazardous conditions will hammer parts of the state for as much as 48 hours. Landfall is expected to occur in Stewart, Port St. Lucie, and Fort Pierce area of Florida during the middle of Wednesday night. Mandatory evacuation orders were slated to go into effect on Wednesday in parts of Palm Beach and Volusia counties in Florida, according to officials. So I'm praying for everybody in Florida. This is really bad timing. I know that some of these areas are actually areas that have already been hit by Ian, and people are just trying to gather their stuff and collect their stuff, and now they're getting hit again. I'm praying for any Fugel fam in Florida. Obviously, we've had many Fugel fam in Florida, including some. Rest in peace, Florida Patriot. And, of course, our lovely J-Stone, which we, of course, worried about J-Stone during the whole last Ian. She ended up having to move. Dex, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you can scroll a little further down and show everybody the map, because on a good note, this is a 1, so it's not coming in like a 3 or a 4 like Ian did. And so most Floridians are, they deal with this. It's not fun, and it can have power outages and flooding and all the things, but it is a 1. So it's not that extreme. This is sort of, for a Floridian, this is, typical. But this is going to go across go to the next map. There's another one. Sorry, Adam, that shows the actual trajectory. So it's going to go across the state and then go right up through Georgia, into the Carolinas. So, you can see the path that it's going to take. Of course, once it gets about halfway into the state of Florida, it won't be a hurricane anymore, but it still will have lots of wind. Matter of fact, we already have wind advisories here in Georgia that have been issued for us. So we're, going to see a lot of wind between now and Friday. But there are, for what it's worth, there are people in like Daytona and other places where are having a lot of erosion, and even condos that are having to be evacuated because of the erosion from the beach that could potentially cause the buildings to fall due to that, because for many reasons, their beaches have been eroded over the years, and something like this hitting and the way it's hitting. If you're not familiar with these types of storms, there's what's called a swell side or a dirty side. In this case, the north part of that storm, when it hits the land, it's a lot stronger with the swells in the water. So that causes a lot of erosion. So, but yeah, prayers to everybody in Florida.
Yes, and of course, well, so is it already past the point where it can increase in size or speed? Like, so, obviously they've talked about storms, and some of them go under, no pun intended, but kind of under the radar. They say that they're not going to be that bad and they'd be much worse. And then they've hyped up storms where they end up being almost nothing, right? Can this just, because I don't know enough about hurricanes. We've never had one over here.
It's
Can that happen?
Yeah, it can happen, but it's not likely. And the reason why I say it's not likely, it's coming across from like the Bermuda area into Florida, and it's going across the Atlantic. That water that's coming goes down from north to south from Atlantic, so it's cold water. It's running across, or colder water, where it runs back around through the Caribbean and back up into the Gulf of Mexico. It's a lot warmer water. So when the hurricanes are over in the Gulf, they tend to pick up a lot of steam because they get that from the warmer water. Being it's so late in the season, we're in November, temperatures are a lot further down. That's what they even said. This is really late in the season to have a hurricane. So it's not likely that it will be much more than a 1.
Well, very interesting. And then Bobby D says, let's see here. By the way, thank you for your support, Bobby D. I appreciate that. If going to space, why do rockets go horizontal? I'm not one that can answer the debunk questions or anything, but I think I've seen a video of that one scientist guy that tries to answer that one, and it's because it has to break through or something. But again, I don't know. And if I say that, people will go
through the atmosphere.
Yeah, but again, either way, that's not going to change anybody's mind that's already set. And then not election, but C-lection. That's the lottery. It says, newsflash, lottery is run by Italy. No one wins it. Mafia runs it. I don't know. I don't know about the whole Italy thing, but wouldn't surprise me in the least that somebody evil runs all of the stuff. All right, and then thank you, Miss Dragon. I appreciate your support. Suggested a book, and I can't see the rest of it, so let me see. Read. Shoot, hold on. Read War is a Racket by Smedley D. Butler. YT has it as an audiobook. It's an eye-opener. Love you lots, everyone. Miss Dragon, so I'm assuming from the title, War is a Racket, that it's saying that they can make a whole lot of money through conflict, right? That's what we all assume by this point. And that's the thing. People can't wrap their heads around why would they lose lives for money? Hello? It's been done since the beginning of time. They don't care about us. The people in charge of these planets, now somebody's going to be, oh, what does he mean? Is he from a different planet? Nobody cares about us. We are sheep to them. We are literally the stuff on the bottom of their shoe. They do not care. If somebody else wipes it off, they won't shed a single tear. As long as they don't know you, they don't care. If the big one happens, glad we all shared Earth at the same time. Well, you guys shared Earth. Sorry, that was a glitch. If the big man's hand at that point, man can still fight nature. Chaos of universe will be there long after us. Do best not to stress about it. God bless y'all. I agree with that, Ryan B. Thank you so much. If the big one happens. Yeah, well, I mean, if the big one happens, then that's not. If an asteroid hits Earth, we're all just done. Like, we'll be, I'll be the person in the movie that's waiting at the beach just for it to be over like that. Vlad is not a stupid man. He baited the USA. Now he's just setting up for the long game. Just saying, says Thomas C. Bryan. Thomas C. Bryan, I don't think he's stupid. And the guy's former KGB, and he was picked. What freaks me out, though, is the whole fact that he was picked as a young leader, as, the world Orem. Yeah, something dirty is going on. SAS Crypto says work. Hey, thank you so much, SAS Crypto. I appreciate that. KT cleans a lot. Remember when pronouncing the word planet, the T is silent. KT cleans a lot. You got me. Plane. I got you. Post Anything 3, hi from Australia, and thanks for covering our event. Post Anything 3, I hope you're still here. I know that's a little late to cover your super chat, but I do appreciate it. And of course, we've covered everything from Australia and New Zealand. We have a lot of people watching from both. And then Carol McLean, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Thank you for the super sticker. And then Stephen McMahon says, exact same symptoms. Something in my right nostril, totally closed. 3 boxes of Kleenex, 3 rolls of toilet paper. Yeah, it's kind of gross, but I literally have piles. This thing, it's been a week, and it just keeps going. Good evening, and God bless. Last night was the worst. You can watch the beginning of the show, and by the middle of the show, my nose was so stuffed I couldn't breathe. Chanel Bivaliquica, thank you again. And then B. Robeast, good evening and God bless. Well, thank you, and thank you. Blue Boy 1968 Chappie says, what if the mysterious object in space that everything is being drawn to is a rogue black hole? Just something to think about on another great show. Blue Boy, I don't know. And honestly, who knows what is really going on? But we can question everything and ask questions. All right. And then Dex, thanks Bobby D, by the way, thank you for holding up D Live over there with Chance Paladin and Jammer and Wonder Woman. Dex, let's go over some of the other stuff.
Absolutely. There's still a lot more to talk about. So go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up the show notes link in the description on YouTube or on the Humble. It's right there. Take you right here. Scroll down, get to this yellow bar. You'll get past all the news we covered. I do have the link at the very end of the page for that video we talked about earlier from the second conflict, the hidden tapes, so to speak. That's there. But look, all the coverage of what happened yesterday, if you have been in a cave or had your head in the sand and just didn't know what's going on, you could come here and find out who won, who didn't. We've got not all of it, but most of it, some of the big stuff. I'm kind of curious if Fett is going to show up in Congress wearing gym shorts and a hoodie, because that would be kind of funny, because he certainly donned that wardrobe quite a bit and won. So that and a lot more in the political spectrum will be there. And thankfully, this hopefully is over, but I think we're going to have to deal with it for at least another month while the runoffs and stuff happen. But hopefully we'll be out of this season and can get back to the rest of the world and the rest of life outside of all of these blowhards and what they're trying to win or lose. But much more going on too. So some updates. There was a new lawsuit coming out against Warren Beatty. Trudeau is in the news for a different reason. He's appearing on a show that nobody thought he would appear on. And some of the updates on Twitter, specifically a woman being detained in Saudi over a post. And then some people are talking about how Musk was groveling with the advertisers. And it's kind of interesting in that article with him groveling, or in that speech he did, he had like an hour-long conversation open to, thousands of people were on it, mostly the advertisers he was talking to. Other things came up, like they're going to, he wants to have financial capabilities on the platform where people can send money. He wants, he's talking about all these new things he wants to do. So that's kind of interesting if you want to learn more about that. Also, King Charles, someone threw eggs at him. So not a good thing to do unless you just want the publicity and you'd like to be thrown in handcuffs and dragged down the street, but somebody did it. So that and so much more, even some updates in the crypto space, what's happening with FTX and some, that's just a horrible mess. If you want to know about that and everything else, go to marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show. If you missed yesterday, click that thumbnail. If you missed 2 days ago, click that, because there's a lot of news that we cover here that we don't necessarily have time to get to on the main show. So we make sure to put that together for you and only you every night when we're live here. So again, if you're on YouTube, it's real simple. You can click on the show notes link. It's in the description. It's usually right there, easy to find.
Well, and the population of Zeldar just didn't want to offend. Just a translation, that was Zeldar in for, it's not a shout out, it's not an outro, it's a shoutro. Thank you, Dex. Appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Love it way. I'm about to bring it like every single day. Love it now. Love it way. I'm about to bring it like every single day. Love it now. Love it way.
Thank you to everybody that supported tonight. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Kimbria, Carol McLean, Patrick Bellamar, Sparky's Run, Niall Adamson. May the spirit flow. CIE, Karen Rax, Carolyn Winkle, Lisa R. Hall. Also, our newest mod, Wages World. I say I'm bringing back home. Show as a usual. Wow. I just figured out why the volume was down. Let's do one for Wages World. And then, by the way, the top 3 supporters tonight, thank you so much. This is where we say thank you to the people that matter most, you, and thank you for the supporters, and thank you for everybody that has stuck around day in and day out. BT777, thank you for being here. Ebenezer Stone, Paul Nelson, Cheryl Probert, and Joe that you know. Looks like, let's see here. Chanel Bivaliqua. Your name is probably the hardest to make something out of. You know,